When you were going through all the crap you went through as a kid, is that when you turned to the guitar?
No, it wasn't simple like that. It was just, I mean, the funny thing is that my father particularly didn't want me to play music.
Why? Jealous?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know why you tell a 7-year-old kid you don't want him to play guitar. I was very attracted to pianos, and I was tested for high musical aptitude and all these things. And
did he think it was feminine in a way? Like, was he one of those macho guys who like?
My dad's actually pretty cool. He still to this day has never really totally explained it. Although he'll say, "Well, I was kind of high and I don't really remember." But
who put the first guitar in your hands then? I mean, what do you mean you were tested for a musical aptitude? Who decided to do that?
When I was, I think about 7, they came to our school and they tested everybody in the school. They did this sort of strange music test. They played different tones, and you had to say it was higher or lower. It was pretty simple to me.
Right.
And anyway, so about a week later, they called me and my family into the office, and the principal said, "Your son just got the highest score ever on this test in the state of Illinois. And it's such a fluke. The score is so high. Can we have your permission to retest him, because we think maybe he just guessed the answers right?"
Wow.
And so my father said, "Sure." They retested me like right at that moment, and I tested higher than the first time. And they said at that point, "Your son's probably a musical savant. You need to get him playing, and here's the orchestra." And I got the piece of paper, circle the drum, circle the saxophone. I want to play saxophone. I don't know why.
that would have turned you right off the music, saxophone.
It was drums or saxophone.
Yeah.
And I came home with the piece of paper, and I showed my dad, and he goes, "I'm not paying that," because whatever was the cost of the whole thing, and that was the end of it.
So here you're tested as a musical genius at like 6 years old, to the point that they think you're a savant. And then you don't pick up any instrument till you're 14. What is the instrument you pick up?
Guitar.
Guitar. And did you immediately kind of understand how to play it, or did you go and get lessons?
The best thing I can tell you is I started playing, and at the first, everybody knows the vendor start. It's like, oh, it hurts, and it's too hard. And
right.
And I remember going to some of the kids in my school who'd been playing for a few years, got lessons and the whole thing. And, they were kind of arrogant. Yeah, whatever, you're the new kid. And about 6 months later, when I hooked back up to these kids, I was blowing them out of the water. How
were you doing that? Were you influenced by the music of Clapton, or like who were you listening to? Zeppelin? Who were you listening to?
Hendrix and Zeppelin and Black Sabbath.
Were you so good at learning in 6 months that you'd listen to those guys and then just imitate them?
Actually, this is a funny thing. In the band, when we used to do cover songs, Jimmy Chamberlain would have to do it, because I'm terrible at learning other people's songs, and I think that's part of why it kind of worked out for me, because I could never learn other people's songs, so I just learned to kind of play my own style.
Right.
So if you'd heard me in the bedroom at 15 years old playing the guitar, it sounds like Smashing Pumpkins today. Whatever that was that I figured out, that was the sound back then. And so I kind of had almost like a kid who creates his own dream world. I kind of created my own musical world.
Right. In other words,
later turned out to be like a thing. But I didn't know that. I just thought I was just playing the guitar.
Was Eddie Van Halen, for example, somebody that interested you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was blown away by guys who could play with unbelievable technical prowess.
Right.
Because that was at least something I could point myself towards.
Right.
I'd hear him play, like Van Halen, when I play some incredible run, and think, how do you do that? Well, you sit there and go, and then you can't do it as well as he does, so you start faking, and you start putting a little, and then that becomes part of your style.